Sidecar race at Mondello Park. The Stephen Galligan Memorial Race died on the 2nd of September 97 from injuries received competing in the Ulster Grand Prix weekend, and he unfortunately died during that, just after the Ulster Grand Prix, and this race dedicated to him today. And on pole position we have the Hegarty brothers in the Suzuki 1100 machine car, bike number 133. Sean Hegarty and Mark Hegarty hailing from Suffolk. Their father hails though from Mayo. Alongside them then is bike number 18. That is Dick Tappan and Andy Winkle. Alongside the 5-second board is being shown to these bikers, and they get away now after a jump start the last time, and they head down into the first corner. The Hegarty brothers in qualifying were the all-dominant machine, lapping in around 62 seconds, and they, as they head out toward the country, should be the bike to beat here, Richard.
It'll be very surprising if anybody beats them now, because in the earlier race this afternoon, John Clark very nearly offered them a challenge, but he didn't even finish the 3 laps that they ran. So the rest of them a good 2 seconds a lap slower on existing performance, and certainly look at the way they're going. They've already stretched out 4 lengths of a lead, and they're only half a lap into the race.
Yes, this is an 8th lap race, and the Hegartys, as you say, have got an early lead, and it looks like they will not be caught unless some difficulty happens to their machine. In fact, it is a 6th lap race, we've just been told now, and this is a circuit which is very, very demanding, not just only on the bikes and the riders themselves, but the man at the back of the bike, because he's got to do all the intricate balancing work for the rider on the front. He has to duck and dart and dive to make sure that the balance is right. As you can see, coming down the main straight now to finish the first lap, the Hegartys, as they go out in the country once again, when they go around the hairpin, he ducks in behind his brother Sean to make sure the bike stays firmly on the ground.
Yes, and watch the way they almost embrace the rider as they're going around right-handers, and as soon as a left-hander comes up, the passenger is hanging off the other side of the outfit, almost brushing the curbs, either with shoulder or something a little more sensitive, depending on which way they choose to sit. But it's a real team operation, because the rider is not necessarily terribly aware that the passenger is doing what he's meant to be doing. He can't see him. He's got to assume that he's hanging out the proper side of the bike at the proper time. It's all about coordination, and that's something the Hegartys really have.
This is really the toughest part of the circuit for these bike riders. They're going now into the S's. You can see that the passenger at the back has to hang his backside out and his tail out as well to make sure that the bike goes around the corner in the proper manner. As they come up now to the final hairpin on their, just about to complete their 2nd lap, and it is, as expected, bike 133, Sean Hegarty and Mark Hegarty, and this really the battle for 2nd place between Dick Tappan and Andy Winkle in car and bike number 18. Keep calling them cars, but of course they are as big as some cars, and that is bike number 24 there, the Yamaha of Mike Cookson and Clive Hibbert.
But up front, it's still the Hegartys, and a little bit of dust being kicked out there. I think that's just cement put down from a previous oil spill. I don't think it means there's anything wrong with the outfit. But Mark Hegarty crawling all over that back wheel there as they go through the double apex right-hander. You may notice the colour scheme on that outfit. The right-hand side is purple, the left-hand side is yellow. It can look like 2 completely different outfits depending on which way you look at it from. But number 133 is the number, and that's the number that's in front.
And that's a number that is almost guaranteed to win, as I said, unless something mechanical happens to their bike. The Hegarty brothers from Suffolk in the Suzuki, the 1100cc Suzuki, way out ahead now. This really the battle of the race, the battle for 2nd place. Bike number 18, Dick Tappan and Andy Winkle in another one of the Suzuki. The Suzukis have been dominant here this weekend, the bigger 1100cc machines. They come down now to complete their 3rd lap, halfway through this 6th lap race. It is still the Hegartys out ahead. With this, the battle for 2nd place as they lock up the wheel going into the hairpin.
And they're being joined actually by number 4, that's Shamie Killock and Paddy Marley from Lisburn with their 1100 Suzuki, which has Wallace and Gromit painted all over it for reasons best known to the crew. But they're slowly closing in on those other 2, and I think we could have a 3-way battle for 2nd before very long.
Heading out the country once again, this double apex. This is our race leader. They're heading down to the S's once again. They'll be in 3rd gear here, and they'll take 3rd right the way through the S's here. Just dab on the brakes. This is our battle for 2nd place. Bike number 18, the Suzuki 1100 of Dick Tappan and Andy Winkle, and bike 24 of Mike Cookson and Clive Hibbert in the Yamaha. They're getting ever closer.
Interestingly, the Yamaha 2 is only a 600, but it doesn't seem to be giving away too much in terms of performance to the 1100s, in spite of a slightly ambitious start. They're right in there, and they're really offering some kind of a challenge now. So much so that Tapkin and Winkle are having to come into corners on the tighter line, which makes them slower through it in order to keep the others at bay. But so far, Tapkin and Winkle still in second place, but it's tightening up all the time.
It certainly is, because you can see bike number 4 there, which has come up on the 5th row of the grid. That is Shamie Killock and Paddy Morley in another one of those Suzukis that is trying to get up into 3rd place overall. That is a 2nd place man, and up into 3rd place does go Killock and Morley from the 5th row of the grid, eventually up to 3rd place in that Suzuki.
But Cookson and Hibbert, I don't think, have any intention of letting that situation stay for very long, none of which is worrying the Hegartys. They're way out there in front, cruising around, working in perfect unison and heading for yet another win in Ireland. They won at Kirkeston yesterday. It looks as though they're going to do it at Mondello today, and indeed they've won over here just about every time they've crossed the sea.
Yes, Kirkeston yesterday involved in the Celtic races, and bike riders from the Isle of Man, also from Wales, from Scotland and from Ireland as well, and these boys are involved as well. And glad to say, from an Irish point of view, that the Irish team won the Celtic Championship yesterday. And
Shamie Killock, who number 4 of course was one of that team, and now he's there in 3rd place and pushing Dick Tapkin and Andy Winkle very hard as they go on to the last lap.
Yes, out the country once again for the last time. This is Sean Hegarty and Mark Hegarty in the Suzuki. This, our 2nd place man, seems to be having a little bit of problem there with bike number 4 there, Culloch and Morley getting ever closer, but they're now starting to lap the field. This is our leaders down into the S's for the final time. Hanging out the tail, that is Mark Hegarty, the passenger. Sean Hegarty, who is the bike rider himself. He flicks over to the right hand side from the left hand side, and he'll stay there right the way up the crest as they go into the final corner. Down they will come onto the main straight for the final time. Sean Hegarty and Mark Hegarty in the 1100cc Suzuki cross the line now, and
now we wait to see when the second man's going to appear, and indeed who it's going to be, because the Hegartys had a lead of something like half a lap going into that final circuit of Mondello Park, and we look up the straight and see who's going to appear, and indeed, yes, it's still Tapkin and Winkle, but Killock just offering a challenge on the line, but it's Tapkin and Winkle by about 1 machine's length.
Well, I think actually we have 8 laps to go in this race, because it was originally down for 6. It has been extended back up to 8 laps, I should say. So the battle for 2nd place is still ongoing, and they try to get up the inside as they're going out the left-hander out into the country. So these boys have actually got 2 more laps to go.
Well, when you've got a good race, it's a shame to spoil it with a checkered flag, isn't it? And while the Hegartys are well out in front, this 2nd place battle is well worth hanging around for, because they're out at hammer and tongs, and I even swear, you know, that the passengers on those 2 combinations occasionally seem to aim a well-placed kick at the fairing of the guy immediately behind. Maybe it's just the way it looks.
Well, you've seen that in action in Kirkeston, Richard?
Yes, it's a way of fending off the enemy, I think, and it certainly gives a little bit of psychological advantage.
So now at this stage we reckon we are on our last lap, so let's give you a run through of how they actually take this bike out of the country. Flicking himself down to the left hand side, that is Mark Hegarty. Whoops, just gets it very, very close to the curb, lifts it in the air, but of course with the passenger on the back he can actually bring that down. They're now up into 4th gear, so just a little dab of the brakes here, down to 3rd as they go round the double apex turn 3, down into 2nd gear, up into 3rd gear, and they stay into 3rd gear all the way through the sweep of the S's. Down to his left hand side goes Mark Hegarty. Sean Hegarty driving the bike, but it's Mark Hegarty that is doing most of the work at the back. He's now flicked himself over to the right hand side. They're still in 3rd gear as they're heading up the hill. May just snatch 4th as they go up over the crest towards the final turn and towards the checkered flag. And this time, as they head down the main straight, Sean Hegarty and Mark Hegarty in the 1100cc Suzuki Swift can see the checkered flag, and as they swift past the flag, they are the winners. Hegarty and Mark Hegarty. Sean Hegarty, Mark Hegarty.
At the battle
winner.
for 2nd. These 3 are all at it. Number 24 is back into the frame, Cookson and Hibbert, but it's still Mr. Winkle and Mr. Tapkin, or the other way round, taking the final corner first, with Cookson and Hibbert trying to go round the outside. Shamie Killock trying to find another way round. Could go any way. These machines fitted together almost geometrically. But I do believe, said he, taking a deep breath, that it was Dick Tapkin and Andy Winkle who got that 2nd place.
Yes, with Killock and Morley moving up to take 3rd. But there's our winners. Sean and Mark Hegarty in the Suzuki win the Sidecar race here at Mondello Park. Dick Tapkin takes 2nd place, with Killock and Morley in 3rd place.